Netflix's long-awaited adaptation of Cowboy Bebop is finally almost upon us, and we got the chance to speak to series showrunner André Nemec about how he put all of this together. Check it out.
They tried to kill me, Anna. If you need to find me, I go by Spike Spiegel these days.
André, talk to me about your first encounter with the series, with Cowboy Bebop. When did you first watch it? When did you fall in love with it?
I came to the series through the music, actually. I heard the soundtrack, and I heard sort of track after track after track. I was in a car, I was driving, and it was on. I was like listening to this wild and eclectic and jazzy sort of cacophony of wonderfulness. And I said, what is this? Who is this? Is this a mixtape? Like I really couldn't fathom it. And my brother turned to me and he said, this is Yoko Kanno. It's Cowboy Bebop. I then proceeded to find out what Cowboy Bebop was and went and watched the anime and pretty instantaneously fell in love with it.
It's interesting because that's how I get people who don't like anime to watch Cowboy Bebop. I play them the music.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in the original anime. I mean, it's a sci-fi, it's a Western, it's got jazz elements, the mob series, romance, all this stuff. And how do you go about bringing these elements together? Because I think people are a lot more forgiving when things are animation as opposed to live action, right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. To me, the beginning of the process is building these stories on a solid foundation, which is the characters and the narrative structure of how we wanted to tell the season. And then you start piling on the specific details. And those details came through looking back at the inspirations that the anime itself used from live action and drawing inspiration from those and telling the live action, but always using the anime as a North Star to say, hey, I'm pretty sure they had that prop in the anime. Let's pull up a screen grab. I want to look at that. Is that the right prop? I think that's right. Like, it doesn't seem broken, so why would we want to fix it? So that really was the process.
And I'm curious about taking on a project such as this one, because I'm always curious, as a creator, you want a certain amount of freedom to do your own thing, even if it is an adaptation. But at the same time, anime fans be crazy. So how do you balance that between giving people the right amount of fan service and also getting satisfaction as a creator yourself?
Yeah, I mean, the truth was that we were never, at least for me, never going to tell the same story, never going to serve the same meal in a live action version. There's no value in that. So it is our adaptation, our reinvention, our sequelness, our 20 years later version, that in and of itself is its own mashup of ideas for how we made the show. You know, the anime had this poetry to it, which left room for longer, deeper, dramatic narrative stories about these characters. But mostly, I was just excited about getting to spend more time with Spike and Jet and Faye and Vicious and Julia and the gang of, crazy bounties and cops and corporate goons. And so to me, that was the fun part.
The anime was a complete piece. The 26 episodes kind of told a complete story. But of course, when you're doing a series like this for, I guess, an American streamer, everyone wants 7 seasons in a movie, right?
Yeah.
And what was it like did you have an endpoint in mind?
For season 1, I absolutely knew where we wanted to go for the end of season 1. It was very important at the very beginning of this creative endeavor to know what the end point of season 1 was, this showdown between Spike and Vicious. But I also wanted to cloud that idea by understanding more about Vicious. Maybe it isn't good versus evil. If you look at it from Vicious's perspective, he's the aggrieved party. Spike's the villain. But I knew I wanted this showdown, and the showdown was going to have to happen. So then it came to crafting a season that was going to take us there.
As a showrunner on the series, do you encourage your actors to revisit the source material? Do you feel it gets in the way, or do you say, listen, I've got all these scripts, use this as your North Star?
I'm very much in the mindset that the actors make those choices on their own in terms of the anime and how much they feel they want to pull and craft from it. Their process, I'm really respectful, is their process. And I'm respectful of that because they bring such a respect to the material that's on the page. So we will spend a lot of time talking about things, and there may be moments where they say to me, there's a moment in the anime that makes me want to do X and such. Or I will say to them, this moment I pulled as a moment from the anime, not in a one-for-one, but to give us that feeling. So we do talk about it, but none of it from my side is doctrinaire.
So I remember when I was watching the series, and I think when it was announced that Netflix was going to make the series, I think there was this apprehension, let's just say, that every fan kind of has with a live action adaptation. But something you mentioned earlier just kind of triggered in my head. As a fan of something, we always want to spend more time with that thing. And I was wondering, in creating, is there such a thing as too much stuff for fans and too much Cowboy Bebop?
I don't know if there's too much Cowboy Bebop at this point. Again, 20 years later, we've all spent a long time, 2 decades away from these guys, from the new, from something different, from a twist on a story that people knew. For me, it's not too much. But I think that it's a fair apprehension for people to have. I was to some degree charmed by the first time an image dropped and people were like, well, that looks pretty good, but we'll see. We'll see. And then the next time a trailer dropped and it's like, okay, that wasn't so bad, but we'll see when the show, meaning I understand that feeling because I'm a fan of a lot of things. I carry fandom for things, and I carried a fandom for Bebop. And the one thing that I can tell you is that everybody who worked on this show, down to the PAs, everybody really was a fan and really had reverence. And everybody felt sort of the specialness of being able to be a part of this project where we could spend time with the Bebop. And it really was amazing. Like, John and Mustafa and Daniella walking onto set in costume. It was amazing to see how the crew at times would react because it was happening. You know what I mean? It was like we were inside the Bebop all of a sudden. It was very cool. It was a cool experience, and I do think the fans are going to be excited to get the new stories.
All right. André, congratulations on the series. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate all your enthusiasm.
And also, just don't look at the internet. It's an awful place.
Oh, I stay far away from it.
See you later.
All right. Be well.
That was André Nemec, the series showrunner for Netflix's Cowboy Bebop. Are you a fan of the original anime? Are you going to be checking out this adaptation when it drops on Netflix? Sound off in the comments below. And don't forget to check out our other interviews on YouTube. Also subscribe, tell your friends, you know what to do.